Hi, and welcome back to my channel. I am Catherine, a licensed therapist and a virtual coach, and today I am answering a question that was sent in previously by you. First, before I jump in, please make sure that you like this video and you subscribe so that you can catch all the next videos, and think about it as a free way for you to help support me as I provide this free coaching for you. All right, the question that was sent in talks about a wife who was saying that her husband wears a sleep mask at night, but then he takes it off and he snores, and she just really feels like he doesn't care about her sleep and is kind of stuck on what to do. So whether or not you're like, oh my gosh, I totally relate to that, I really still want you to tune in and pay attention, because the overall theme of how to work through something like this is still very relevant and important, even if it's not specifically sleep that is the issue. And so you're still going to benefit even if you don't fully relate to that specific thing. So just keep that in mind as we jump in. When I saw this question, I definitely kind of just went back to childhood for a second, because my mom snores really bad. If she sees this, I love you so much. But I could hear her snoring through the wall at night with the doors closed. It just was really loud. So I definitely relate to that kind of frustration and annoyance, because it's not their fault, but also your sleep is valuable, and it's just kind of a very frustrating situation. So definitely understand that, and can imagine if it's right here and you're at night way closer than, through the house and through the wall, it's much more of a bigger problem for sure. It's very understandable that you'd be frustrated, exhausted, both, physically and also just kind of with your relationship and this issue to begin with. But we can change that narrative moving forward. We're gonna discuss specific ways to bring it up without starting a fight, and some more practical things to think through so that you can get better sleep. The first thing to remember is that it's probably not personal. Even though it can feel like it, it's probably not. If your husband is asleep, chances are that he doesn't realize that he's taking it off. And if he's doing that, then he's definitely not intentionally thinking oh, I'm gonna take it off so that she suffers. That's not what's happening probably. So let's just assume, because I don't know all the details of this situation with the question that was sent in, but if we go in with the assumption that it is an unconscious thing that's happening during sleep, I would really challenge you to work on your mindset with the situation. Instead of thinking he doesn't care about my sleep, I would consider trying, he may not realize how much this is affecting me. Sometimes just shifting that mental perspective can really help create less frustration when you try to talk about and solve the problem. Something else to keep in mind is when to talk about it. Trying to have a conversation at 3 a.m. when you're exhausted, not a good idea. So making sure that it is outside of the realm or time when the issue is really something to make sure that you do, so that you can have an environment that's a little bit more calm, a little bit more suited for a serious conversation, because all of that will help things to hopefully go a little bit more smoothly. It's also really important to focus on speaking in a way that conveys your needs and your feelings about it, and not blaming them or putting things in a way that would make them want to be defensive. And obviously you don't have control over the things that they might do or how they might respond, but you do have control over how you bring up a conversation and the part that you play. And so be very careful to avoid things like, you're ruining my sleep, or you keep doing this, or whatever, throwing things at them, versus saying something like, babe, I'm really tired and I don't know what to do because I feel like you're not caring about my sleep. And I'm not saying that my sleep is more important than your sleep, but both of our sleep is equally as important, and I just feel like I'm really suffering, and I need help to figure out what to do. Can we talk through these options? Can we talk through a better method so that maybe you don't take it off if you don't realize it? I just need help here. You see how that's very different than coming already at 100, very frustrated. It's going to come across very differently. Now, when it comes to finding a solution that works for both of you, it's really important to remember that you're on the same team. You both want good sleep. You both care about each other, and you're just trying to work out the details on what to do so that this can be a reality. It can help to think what small changes might make big differences, because sometimes that's all it is. We just need to tweak something small, and the ripple effect will be something way bigger, which is kind of maybe what we're looking for here. I'm sure you tried a lot of different things, and I am not a sleep expert by any means, but I just wanted to kind of be in this conversation with you and provide some alternative things to think about if you haven't already. Like maybe is there a different sleep mask or a different size that would fit better, and that would be a little bit harder to take off. Something like that might be helpful to consider. There's lots of other anti-snoring mechanisms that could help, like nasal strips, mouth guards, different positions, a different pillow, just anything like that maybe could be helpful to think through. You might consider having a white noise machine or even earplugs for you. I know that's kind of frustrating because you're like, why would I have to choose or change something or do something different if it's not my fault? Well, it's not also their fault either most of the time. Like, they didn't ask to snore. So it's, again, compromise, working together. Try not to take it as personally, although I understand it can really feel like that. And then if you're like, I think it's more than the sleep issue, like there could be a lot of different things involved. There's lots of different sleep disorders. Sometimes weight is an issue, sometimes other health concerns. And so if you're like, we've got to dig deeper, then talk about that too and present it as a we thing, because you do care about them. Like, you want to make sure that they're living their best, healthiest life. And if there's something going on, like, you want to be a part of the solution to fix it, not just so that you can have better sleep, but because you want to make sure that they're okay. So be careful on how you would present that, because again, that's really important and matters too. Something else that I think is really important is, let's say that you watch this video and you're like, all right, I'm going to take this, I'm going to try it, I'm going to approach this conversation. Remember that you might be coming to this conversation with a fresh perspective and a better mindset and a really good place with these things in mind, but he might not, unless you show him this video. And so he might just have the experiences of last time you talked about it and it didn't go well. And so if you're bringing it up, he might already feel a little bit on edge. And so you might need to provide some reassurance that this time is going to be different, that you're going to approach things different. You want to help him, help you, help the both of you. But just keep in mind that if you feel a little bit of resistance, there's a difference in what you're bringing to the table and he might be bringing the exact same thing to the table. And so just kind of understand that slight difference when you're talking about it. You may also honestly have to apologize and say, last time we talked about it, I was really critical of you and I raised my voice or whatever the thing is. And I'm sorry about that. Like, I realize that this is not something you're doing because you hate my guts, I just am exhausted and I feel like this is a never-ending issue and I just really need us to figure this out together. So keep that in mind if you haven't apologized and there's things that need to be repaired as a part of this to then be able to dive into a productive conversation. Take that step first, which will also really show a lot of initiative and hopefully help him be more receptive to work as a team to solve this problem. And at the end of the day, sleep is important for both of you. Keep in mind that the snoring is the problem. A lot of times when there's external issues, it can turn into like they're the problem and spouses just butt heads and you become each other's problem and you're not really focusing on it as a team. And so I just would really encourage you to shift things and remember, snoring is the problem. You are on the same team. This is an external thing and you're not going to let it come between you. You're going to work together, linking arms to figure it out, be patient with each other. Like, it is totally possible. Understand as you work through this, as you talk through it, whether or not, again, that you relate specifically to snoring or just some kind of external issue that you're like, we keep butting heads on X, Y, or Z. I always really encourage couples to have check-ins because it's really good if you go in and you have a really good conversation, but it can't stop there. You're going to need to have more conversations about it. You're going to need to check in and see, how do we feel like it's working? Or I really don't feel like it's working. We need to adjust again. We need to try to approach the situation a little bit differently, like whatever it is. And so I have a resource called the Ultimate Couples Check-In Guide. And there is a check-in, there's questions in there, things to reflect on that will help you have kind of like a mini productive conversation about the overall topic. Couples also use this just to check in on like the logistics of life and make sure that their marriage is really connected, because you don't want to only have serious conversations about hard stuff. You also want to be checking in on how you're doing with work and how are you feeling emotionally about X, Y, or Z, and just making sure that as you go through your day and through your life, because it's so busy and full of things and chaotic, that you take time to pause and check in with each other. It's a really helpful resource that also includes a quarterly check-in and an end of year check-in, kind of like planning for the new year and reflecting on the past year, all of that stuff. So you get all of it to help you with your checking in and your communication skills and all of that. So if you're interested in that, you can find more information and where to grab that in the description below. And I hope this video was helpful for you and that you feel a little bit more equipped on how to address this situation. Please make sure that you like this video and subscribe so that you can get more videos on relationships, healthy communication, all of that stuff. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.